I like giving a couple of minutes for everyone who's catching me on Instagram or getting notifications there to, hop on. And of course, the videos are accessible once the lives are done on my YouTube channel anyway. So either way, people don't miss things unless they don't look for them, but that's up to them. So, just giving people a little bit of time to show up before we talk about our topic of the day, topic of the moment, which it's the upcoming new moon in Taurus, conjunct Black Moon Lilith. Now, this particular sign, rather, this particular moon is not just conjunct Black Moon Lilith, it's also squaring Thereus. And the sounds you hear in the background are basically the little girl cats running around because they're like, we have things to say, we have things to say. So that's the sound in the background. So, having said that, that's my girl. So, but whilst we're waiting, let's see who's here. Hello, Coyote Prophet, sending you hugs back. Um, Hello, Crystalline Crow. Hello, C. Davis. Hello, Carmen Lopez. Hello, Batwoman. Hello, Alchemy Rising. Lovely to see all of you. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Hello, Lodi Dodi. Hello, CNC Music. Hello, Taylor Sparks Johnson. Hello, Kim Roy. And for those of you new timers, first timers, this is the way we roll. We take a little bit of time to acknowledge everybody here, because it's about community. It's about doing stuff together. Let's see who else is here. Hello, Kim. Hello, Latasha. Hello, Amber. Hello, Eva. Hello, Amanda. Lovely, lovely, lovely to see all of you. So I would say that's a good crowd. Let's get started on today's topic, which is, as I said, it's going to be the new moon in Taurus. And okay, someone saying help or hello? Okay, I was distracted for a moment. Hello. So, we're talking about the new moon in Taurus, and we're going to be talking about how it's conjunct Black Moon Lilith. What does that mean? And also the fact that it is square Thereus. Now, I was like sitting today, the past few days, it's been incredible work that's been generated, absolutely incredible work. A lot of people have had some phenomenal life-changing shifting done. I have been exhausted, but I also love my work when I'm up to speed. So, a lot of people are benefiting from it. And it's just been a very consistent pattern of why is all of this shadow getting drawn out? And I'll be honest with you, I don't look at astrology unless I absolutely need to. I mean, I was aware of the upcoming lunar eclipse, and I'm like, but that's far away. That's at the end of the month. And for some reason, my brain just kept blanking out when it came to the upcoming new moon. So I was looking and looking and looking at the constellation, at the fixed stars, at all of this and that. And, because there's a lot that goes into the research and the work. And I was like, I can't find what's happening. Why is everything so dense right now? There are major alignments, but they're not super active. So I was like hunting, hunting, hunting. And then I looked at the thing I should have looked at first, the new moon. Now, there is an explanation. So, first of all, the new moon is going to be conjunct the mean apogee. The apogee is effectively, when if you draw the orbit of the moon around the earth, there's going to be a point where it's furthest away. And when you get a new moon conjunct the apogee, in the case of Black Moon Lilith, the mean apogee, because there's a technical way of defining different Liliths as opposed to different definitions of it. When you get this, what you really get is like shadow on top of shadow. And on top of that, when you have Thereus at 24 degrees of Leo squaring the new moon at 21 degrees of Taurus, you get shadow, shadow, something hidden. And it took me the longest time to realize what should have just been, staring at me in my face, which is a very, very common manifestation of shadow dynamics and Thereus and whatnot. So this is the kind of energy that and I'm explaining a bit of the process because it's not an intellectual exercise when it comes even astrology or spirituality or intuition. It's not an intellectual exercise. It's not a logical thing for me. It's about feeling into it and observing the process of learning because you will learn more when you learn how you learn. It's not just about getting the answers and poof, you know this. You don't learn jack with that. So I'm hearing there's there's some YouTube disruption happening that happens around me. And someone says hello and thanks so much for information. Where's your tip jar? Tipjar is www.paypal.me/the Sky Priestess. But let's get back to it. So now, as I was saying, this is, and thank you for asking, this is the kind of energy that really crept up on me. And when I finally figured it out, I could do some real digging. Could do some transmutation and manifestation work as aligned, and I could just start to piece together what's happening with the collective. So when we have Black Moon Lilith in any alignment, it brings up all of the energies well, which we tend to suppress, especially in our relationship with those fundamental categories that we relate with the mother, that we relate with nurture, that we relate with food and the five senses, the things that actually make life enjoyable. That simple pleasure of eating a meal that you like, of, getting your hair done, or buying a dress that you like, or pants, or whatever it is you like wearing. And yeah, though I do remember, I think pants in American is your underwear, but I mean trousers. But you know what I'm saying. So, but it's about doing stuff that just brings you that everyday security that you're meant to be here, that the earth is not a horrible, terrible, hostile place. For me, I've always associated Taurus with those very, very tender, those tender moments that you actually spend in the womb. Even though Taurus doesn't quite rule the womb, the energy of it has always reminded me of the child in the womb, or the child in the first few months of its life, where it's utterly dependent on its mother. And I mean, if you look at different mythologies, world mythologies, it's all often associated the symbol of the cow, which is of course associated with the bull, as a symbol of a great nurturer. And so, it's not rocket science. Taurus is about that fundamental nurture that we get to be here. And a lot of us miss out on this. Sometimes because our mothers are in very stressful situations. Literally, the stress hormones and chemicals create this soup that acclimatize you to, trauma bonding and basically equating intensity with life. A lot of people don't have that very safe environment when they are coming into this world. So that gets reproduced, that gets reenacted in the ways in which we think reality operates. It's a very, very subtle, complex, metaphysical process that happens for all of us. So much of us, I wouldn't say is determined, but so much of us is shaped before we even come into this world. There's just a lot that goes down there. So, for me, when I think about the energy of Taurus and Black Moon Lilith, in my understanding of the energies, it really comes back to that foundational sense of nurture. How are we nourished? What is our relationship with that which gives us life? And did we have a good relationship with that? Did we not have a good relationship with that? That's where a lot of these energies then come in. And very often it goes and speaks to wounds surrounding a lack of an understanding of value, a lack of self worth, a lack of abundance. We talk about this in terms of money and currency, but it's also about this foundational emotional assets that give us this sense of we have a right to be here. And that's really what's going to be very, very critically focused on in this upcoming new moon. So, these are deep vulnerabilities. These are deep, deep, deep triggers. And when, especially when it comes to people, talking to those who have been discriminated against or marginalized. And let me just check and see what the girls are doing. Okay. She's scratching a piece of cardboard. She's fine. People who have been discriminated against, people who have been marginalized, and when someone comes along and says, well, that's just because you're not thinking positively and you're not believing in the universe, I want to hit them with a stick, which is why I don't talk to people like that. Very often people internalize through generational trauma, through institutions that are oppressive, through society that are already labeling them with the value of bad, irredeemable, lazy, whatever. When you live in a situation like that and you're suddenly supposed to heroically defy all the odds that you were born into and say, oh no, I shall manifest this, and that's how I'm going to pick myself up on my bootstraps and manifest success, that's ridiculous. That's victim blaming. So, it's the kind of energy where we got to be really, really careful when dealing about these questions, especially with people and communities that have been marginalized and told that they are worthless. So, you can't shift around those energies by suddenly forcing a belief system that you are genetically have been coded into believing the opposite of. So when you are in a womb that that in a being who is constantly being told that she's not going to make it, that she's worthless, that she's this, that she's that, suddenly you pop out and you're supposed to be Buddha. That doesn't work. And so there needs to be a lot of sensitivity when we are dealing with questions like this, especially with people who come from those backgrounds in which they have had the cards stacked against them. So, that's point number one. Another is about beauty, another is about, celebrating who you are, celebrating your form, celebrating your shape, celebrating what makes you you. Which is one of the reasons why I decided to whip this out. I was like, you know what? Most of the time I'm in what I would normally wear to sleep. Most of the time I'm in like my house dress or nightie. I'm like, you know what? Why not? It suits the purpose. It's also about just taking pleasure and a healthy amount of pride in just being here, just doing here, you know? And just doing you. I mean, I'm not at all surprised that my garden is now infested with rats. Even though there are literal fruit orchards around, so the rats decided that my wheatgrass seeds that I had just planted are far more interesting than legit ripe fruit. So I'm actually, I was looking and looking at the rats, going, they look so cute, but I'm still going to have to do something about it. But I'm like, okay, garden, you've given me the signal, and I have to sit and think what I'm going to do about that situation. It's also a time where we need to look at those structural vulnerabilities, those situational vulnerabilities, and what we do about them, and how we can actually meet these challenging circumstances and situations with something with a lot more substance than be positive. So, but yeah, it's also a time where we've got to realize that these wounds are likely to be re-triggered. So have situational awareness. Try not to deal with people who are going to treat you like shit, because that's just going to make you feel like shit and that's going to recreate a cycle. Don't do that. Focus on events, on people, on experiences that make you feel loved, that make you feel nurtured, and more importantly, give that to yourself first, however you see fit. As long as you're not harming anybody, go do you. It's that simple. Now, because Thereus is involved, because Thereus, the hunter stalker, is squaring this moon, this is where we actually see a lot of the blinders come on. And sometimes we don't want to see those harsh truths. Sometimes we actually fear the emotional backlash that will happen if we were to confront the fact that we didn't get shit from the people we were supposed to get it, or that we are being treated like shit from the people that we open our hearts to. Sometimes we literally put blinders on ourselves so that we don't have to deal with the emotions that come up. And that's where I think Thereus is most likely to try and hit a lot of people. But here's the thing, you're alive. You are literally surviving. You have been surviving this planet, arguably at least for the past 20 years. I would assume most, if not all of you, above the age of 20. But, you've been surviving this planet. You've been processing all kinds of stuff. The only thing that would stop you is your fear that you cannot handle whatever pain that needs to be unearthed. Now, the thing about unearthing that pain is that you will need space, you will need time to process this, to act on that legitimate anger that comes up in a way that doesn't create further cycles of trauma. Because too many people abuse each other in the name of having been abused themselves. That ain't spiritual, that is just karma reproducing itself. I'm not saying turn the other cheek, because sometimes holding your hands out and saying, touch me, and you're not going to have a face, might actually be the best thing to do. But that is situational. And whilst I would not recommend hyperaggression as your generic response to the world, sometimes it is what is called for. Lord knows, when I was in my martial arts class, a whole class of people there, and I was actually a beginner, but I picked up things very quick. And my teacher used to say that, even including all of the senior students, I am the person who has had to put my fists up to defend myself more than anybody else there. So life has kind of gone that way. But effectively, you just need to give yourself permission to respond appropriately. At the end of the day, you don't want to use the pain that you feel as an excuse to steal or draw or berate someone else who maybe doesn't deserve that treatment. And very often, when people try to go into the roots of that anger, that's when they really need a safe space. They need a community. They need assistance to help them let go of what they need to let go of and to address that anger creatively. So, that's the big heads up on the black moon, Lilith moon, and Thereus square. Of course, it's going to be activating a whole bunch of stuff. The moon is also going to be in conjunct Juno, the soulmate. So, especially if you've got anything near 21 degrees Libra or 21 degrees Cancer, please be very, very aware of the way you treat your soulmates, because that's very, very important. Soulmate relationships are being very heavily impacted this year. So if you value that person in your life, do not treat them like shit. I was saying this to my tier 23 group the other day. If you give too little, or if you take, or rather, no, if you take too much, you're going to lose them. If you give too much, you're going to lose yourself. And that balance with the people in your life that you value the most, who value you and inspire you and help your soul awaken, and vice versa, that is a lesson that also needs to be focused on. The moon itself, along with Black Moon Lilith, is also sextile Neptune. So if you've got anything again at 22 degrees of Libra, that becomes a yod or a finger of fate. And that will make things, a lot of things come up. So there is a deep spiritual potential of this moon, but if we replay whatever we were conditioned into believing is our identities, personalities, and relationship with manifestation on this planet, if we were to simply replay those energies, that is the spiritual reality we are also going to be manifesting. So, whilst I'm not saying go in denial, be very clear about where you are and where you want to be and how you want to get there at the spiritual level and at the metaphysical level. And the people in your life are also going to be instrumental in helping you get to where you need to go, just as you will be instrumental in getting them where they need to go. So there is a component of this moon that is still very much about community, that is still very much about, whilst not being the battery or the martyr that everybody else rests on, you can basically at least do the work of saying, hey, I'm feeling this. I don't want to take this out on you. Let me process this. Or, hey, you're feeling this. This has got nothing to do with me, really. So I'm going to take a step back and process, and we can talk about this shit some other time. Otherwise, you're likely to do a lot of harm to people whom you actually care about. This is also reinforced by the fact that there's Mercury at 11 degrees of Gemini, um, making a sextile to Chiron, the wounded healer, which is not at all fun. Mars is also pretty much squaring Chiron. Mars at 11 degrees Cancer, Chiron at 11 degrees Aries. So there is a lot of energy that can really get triggered here, and in a purely unnecessary way. And last but not least, we also see Ceres, the mother nurturer, one step away from mother smotherer, trying Ixion, the tyrant. Ceres is at 1 degrees Taurus, Ixion is at 1 degrees Capricorn. If you have anything near 1 degrees Virgo, that becomes a grand earth trine. There is a lot of control energy and control drama that is really being brought out in the way we deal with material resources, assets, concepts of worth and value, and that very sacred relationship between the being who holds you in their womb and the being who comes out of that womb. But it also equally applies to anyone who truly gives nurture to another. Either way, there's a lot of scope for control dramas to be taking place here. So, be very, very aware of this. I was telling this to my brother, and my brother was like, yeah, so that's the universe's response to Happy Mother's Day. It's a tough time to be looking at that relationship. But speaking of my brother, I wanted to also bring him on for a couple of minutes because, we do a lot of esoteric research together. We're both metaphysicians in our own right, and he has focused his work more so on understanding how the body can be a very powerful asset in helping us cope with some of the energetic ups and downs and emotional highs and lows. And it's something that I'm sure that he's going to be developing in the future. And I just wanted him to come on for a few minutes and maybe share with us a hot tip as to how to deal with some of the he's laughing. Hot touch. I don't want to say that. That's gonna give people the wrong message. I'm not offering hot touches. Just so you know, not my boyfriend would not be happy with that. So let's see who we got here.
Hello.
Baby is also here.
Yes, little baby also decided to come in on the show.
Yes.
How's it going, guys?
There's a lot going
There's a
on.
lot going on.
There's a lot going on. But
Thank you,
let's.
Carmen. Hello, everyone. So,
Okay, give me. Okay, you hold the phone. I baby, give me
it's okay,
baby.
baby.
I get
Baby was there for a while. Okay. So, as my sister was describing, we talk a lot about these things, and quite often there isn't an easy answer for it, except at the levels that we can deal with it. Uh, we can't change anything about your present, we can't change your circumstances, but one thing that you can change is your own body, your own health. In the system that I learned, which I'm currently developing further into something hopefully more integrated, the body is always healing itself. So we don't talk about cures, we talk about improvement. As long as you're not on death's door, things can get a little bit better from what they are now. And with dedicated practice, it can get much better. It's very similar to TCM in some ways, but it's a lot easier to do. Now, there's a point here. It's on a pericardium channel. Now, if you see my hand, there's a wrist line where the wrist bends, preferably on your left hand, right in the middle where you can see a little bit of a, like when you tighten up
Wait.
your fist, can they see that?
Yeah.
You'll be able to see little line running down here at the wrist where this tendon runs down. That point there, that is an important pericardium point. That's pericardium and earth, and it deals with a lot of things. Now, the simplest way to describe pericardium is it is the protector of the heart. That is both in conventional medicine and in esoteric medicine. But when we talk about the heart is where the embodiment of the soul happens. And when that is in a healthy, functional sense, you have positive emotions and good health. Now, with a facilitator like my sister, many spiritual, mental, otherwise astral problems block that embodiment or limit it or diffract it in ways which are bad for you, which is why she is able to help with that. But if your problems are purely biological and physical, or a little bit on the emotional side as well, this is a great point. It will calm your mind and it will restore your emotions to the healthiest state that you can be at the moment. Now, that takes into account a lot of factors, but for stress, for uncertain mind, overwhelming emotion, this is a great point. How do you activate it? Once you've found it, either simply lay your finger there very lightly until you can feel it pulse, or you can activate it with a little bit of oil. Any type of oil works, but I like coconut oil myself as long as it doesn't, as long as it's not too heaty for you. Now, any questions?
There's a few comments,
Hmm?
some astro questions, but mostly hellos and happiness to see you
Mm-hmm.
because everyone's happy. But some people say that they quite naturally activate this point when they're stressed and so on and
It
so
is a
forth.
natural
It's
thing.
it's a very natural thing. It's a supernatural thing.
It's
But
a supernatural, natural thing.
that's true. Supernatural, natural thing. Can you get baby?
Sure.
So but that's just something that I wanted to share. I mean, and I don't think my brother would mind me filling in a little bit of gaps. You don't have to press very hard. I don't want anyone stabbing themselves and going, Sky Priestess, I pressed that point, I'm bruised. You don't need to do that, please. It's light. It is light. But hang on, let me just grab baby because I want to hold her, and I'm gonna pass the phone to my brother, and he can hold it himself.
Okay. I don't know if one of you wants to be held. Okay. Whoa, angry baby. All right.
Alright. Good girl.
You could not see that hold hand bit high. Actually, you might have to hold it again.
Fine, fine, fine.
Okay.
Okay.
So here's my hand, and we can see the wrist line, and then we can see the tendon going down. Now, if I was a muscular person, it'll be a bit more obvious, but I'm not. Here we go. We've got a little bit of tendon there, and we've got the wrist line. You should be able to find a hollow. And some people have said they naturally find that point. That makes a lot of sense because here is where we differ from TCM considerably. TCM is highly intellectual and they're kind of a meta analysis. They're like, okay, this is a problem. By activating this point, this point, this point in this sequence and pattern, we will create a health effect. What I've learned is much simpler. Strengthen this element and it will bring itself back into balance, which makes it slower. But it's natural and it's most importantly simple. My youngest student was 9 years old and she was able to actually use some of these techniques to heal people in her school and her own parents. So I like simplicity. I like actionable things that everyone can take and use in their life.
It works. It works. I personally like TCM because I like the meta philosophy behind it, and I correspond it to the stars. I like that kind of thing.
Intellectual snob.
My brother says I'm an intellectual snob, but I like what I like. It's not a, it's not a thing. But again, you don't need to use anything sharp. You don't need to use any needles. It's just very gentle. And those of you who do Reiki, feel free to do a little Reiki on it. You know. But anyway, that's what I wanted to share. Just something practical. And yeah, I think that's cool.
Okay,
All
that's
right,
fine.
so that's cool. And I'll ask Bro to come on and share some more stuff, as and when it's actually required, right? Because sometimes I'll be like, okay, just the words can help, but it's like with this kind of alignment in Taurus, you're going to need a little bit of focus on the body. Also, look at your nutrition, look at what you're eating. Maybe not the best time to go on a a binge, and maybe not the best time to go and like stuff yourself up with heavy, heavy, heavy stuff. I mean, if that's what your body is really craving, respect your body, but also remember that sometimes it might just be a stress response that leads to other cycles, that leads to more stuff, that leads to doing things. And baby is really feeling the energy today. Really feeling the energy today. But she's also upset because I've been working all day and not playing with her. So that's part of what this is about. But in any case, let me have a quick look at some of the comments, some of the questions before I wind down. And let's see. Yes, hang on, hang on, hang on. What do we have here? So I'm just going to look real quick. Let's see, there's a lot. Okay, I just want to give a nice shout out to Lex. Oh, okay. Hi, Lex. Hi, Luna. Hi, Nebula. I was thinking about you guys today. Nebula's the new puppy. Tamalan asks, how are you? I am okay. Just tired from work, but okay. Um, let's see. Lots of you are just kind of like popping in to say hi, which is nice. Dusana says, the rats in my garden are after different nutrients. They're smart and will move to another source when it's nearby. They look very well groomed, I have to say. Very well groomed. Um, Kiki is going to be 45 tomorrow. Happy birthday in advance, Kiki. Let's see what we have. What else do we have here? Okay. Carmen says my brother is handsome. Appreciated. Um, okay, let's see anything. Doa wants to know any insights into Neptune current position. Oh, it's a hard question to answer. He can talk endlessly about Neptune and still know nothing about it. But effectively, with Neptune making a sextile to the new moon, like I said, it's very much about realizing that what you do in the here and now is what you're trying to manifest in other realms of existence. They are not separate things. People who try to disassociate the two are the ones who end up with some problem or another. Let's see. Kit says, first time catching a live stream. Meow. Nice. I should try that point on baby, but baby would probably scratch me. Coyote Prophet says, can you do acupuncture on it? I think you,
Yes, you can.
okay, my brother says yes. My brother says yes, but again, please be a professional before you do that. I don't want people at home taking a needle and going chuck.
Are they an acupuncturist? If you're not an
If you're
acupuncturist,
not an
you're certainly not.
acupuncturist, don't do it. Please don't do it. Carmen says, give baby some love and attention when you have time. That is the plan. That is the plan. Um, okay. Search says, hello, doctor. Nice to see you. Isn't there a Pluto retrograde coming up soon? Unless I'm mistaken, Pluto is already in retrograde. Pluto's already in retrograde. It's already in. It's already in. Okay, okay, good, good, good. But that's the key highlights, the key points. So also a pro tip, if you've got any issues with releasing emotion and letting shit go, um, time tea can help, but please also check for contraindications because not everybody can take everything. It doesn't work that way. So, yeah, I would say that about wraps it up. Take care. Very many blessings. Try to be kind to yourselves. Try to be kind to other people. Don't be a doormat for any reason whatsoever. But at the same time, you don't need to be a killing machine either. And on that happy note, ciao ciao for now. Bye bye.